Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Acharya Ashtotra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Acharya Ashtotra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Anam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopakopinata Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 14. Is it text? Which one? 38. Okay. Text 30.
38 is already done. I think 39, Prabhu.
So 39.
Yes, I think so.
39. Okay. So, since it's prose, maybe Dravida Prabhu could chant the verse. Yeah, please. I think maybe you could just read that.
Okay. Yadidam yoganushasanam nava davarundate yanyasta danda munaya upashamalisila upadatatmana samavagachanti.
Okay. Translation. Saintly persons who are friends to all living entities have a peaceful consciousness. They have controlled their senses and mind, and they easily attain the path of liberation, the path back to Godhead. Being unfortunate and attached to the miserable material conditions, a materialistic person cannot associate with them. Purport. The great saint, Jada Bharata, described both the miserable condition and the means to get out. The only way out of it is association with devotees. And this association is very easy. Although unfortunate people also get this opportunity, due to their great misfortune they cannot take shelter of pure devotees, and consequently they continuously suffer. Nonetheless, this Krishna consciousness movement insists that everyone take to this path by adopting the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. The preachers of Krishna consciousness go from door to door to inform people how they can be relieved from the miserable conditions of life, of material life. As stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, guru-kṛṣṇa-prasāde pāya, bhakti-latā-bīja. By the mercy of Krishna and Guru, one can get the seed of devotional service. If one is a little intelligent, he can cultivate Krishna consciousness and be freed from the miserable conditions of material life. Om ajnana timirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadama Hyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utaf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitang Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I'm just going to look for a quote that I'd like to read later. Just give me 30 seconds. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare. Okay, I found it. Okay. So, this verse is describing, it's describing sadhu sangha and the role that sadhu sangha plays in developing faith in Krishna consciousness and ultimately taking to the path and going back to Godhead. So, in the Madhurya Kadambini, it's described that the first stage of bhakti is sadhu sangha, which means association with sadhus. So when one associates with devotees, he gets some faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. Although this is not an automatic process, like Prabhupada's saying in this purport, although unfortunate people also get this opportunity, due to their great misfortune, they cannot take shelter of pure devotees, and consequently they continuously suffer. So people all over the world get the association of devotees through book distribution, through Harinam parties. Even devotees, they do seminars and they invite, just lay people, whoever. And these people, they get the association of devotees. And then what to speak of all the people who come to the temple and we're cultivating them, and they just fizzle out. They just don't, they never really develop any faith in Krishna consciousness. So yes, many people get the association of devotees, but they don't end up taking to Krishna consciousness. This is because, well, for one, they're not associating with devotees in the proper state of mind. When we associate with devotees, we have to, the main thing that we should be doing when associating with devotees is we should be hearing. We should be hearing from, especially if they're devotees who are senior to us, who are more realized than us, then we should be hearing from them. We should be trying to get something from their association, to be trying to further our spiritual realizations by associating with them. And then, of course, if they're, you could say, on our same level or our peers, our friends, then we be friendly with them. We engage in the 6 loving exchanges. Of course, you can engage in the 6 loving exchanges with other devotees as well, but it's especially, you could say, there's a more, you're developing a more intimate relationship on the basis of friendship. And for those devotees who are, you could say, junior to us, who are less advanced, then we try to bring them up. We try to help them. So we can see that devotees, their association, when devotees get together, it's completely centered around Krishna. Everything that the devotees do is completely centered around Krishna. And this is in stark contrast to how materialists relate with each other. Because materialistic people, their only goal in life is sense gratification. That's all they know. All they know is that, you're born, and then you go to school, and you learn some stuff, and then you go to middle school, and you go to high school, and then you just go to college because that's what everybody else is doing. And then after college you may work for some time, but really what you're going to do is you're going to get married, because of course nowadays that's kind of going down. People are realizing that you can have much more sense gratification without getting married because you're not tied down. But anyway, still people, they think, okay, well, I'll get married, and then work for the rest of your life, and then retire, and then it's like sense gratification sannyas instead of like devotees. When you take sannyas, you renounce all sense gratification. You go fully into Krishna consciousness. But for materialists, it's the opposite. It's you renounce all of your work, and then you dive very deeply into sense gratification. The people, when they move to Florida or whatever on some golf course or something. But like this, they're very unfortunate. They're very unfortunate because they don't have a real idea. I mean, even on a material level, they're quite unfortunate. Because what do they do? What is their standard of happiness? Their standard of happiness is eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, and not much else. And they go through their lives in a very routine kind of way, and they think that it's the all in all. They think that their happiness that they're finding in their work and their whatever, they think that it's all in all. They think that that's real happiness. But really they're just suffering, because everything that they're basing their happiness on is temporary, and they're looking for something eternal. So they're very unfortunate. And also spiritually very, very unfortunate, because they don't know the real goal of life, which is to go back home, back to Godhead. Because they are bahir-arthamaninaḥas, because they consider sense gratification to be valuable, to be artha, natevidu svartakatim Vishnu. They don't know the sva-artha, which is Vishnu. They don't know the real value of life, which is to go back home, back to Godhead, and serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They think that this is some kind of fantasy. They think it's sentimental. They think it's unscientific. They think it's brainwashing. They have all kinds of adjectives to describe their dogmatic. They have all kinds of adjectives to describe us. They're very attached, like this verse is saying, they're very attached to miserable material conditions. And so therefore, when they see devotees, when they associate with devotees, they don't see much value in it. They think it's quite boring. They think it's quite far-fetched, that God is a little blue cowherd boy, and he takes pleasure in love, in relationships, different relationships, like especially conjugal relationships. People can't understand that God takes pleasure in conjugal relationships. And they read the pastimes of Krishna, and they think, okay, well, these are very nice stories. Even people who are in so-called what's left of Vedic culture nowadays in India, even them, a lot of times they're quite atheistic. They think that Krishna's pastimes, it's just, these are nice stories, and there's some lessons here, but they don't understand that this is reality. That Krishna's pastimes are going on eternally in the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan. And that's real life. That this material world it's not real, in the sense that it's temporary, and it's full of suffering. Dukkhalayam shashvatam. So they're very unfortunate, and because they are continuing to associate with the material modes of nature, they can't get free. They like, what's that verse? Purushav prakritisthau hi bhunkte prakriti jan gunan karanam gunasangosya sarasad yoni janmasu. Because they're associating with the material modes of nature, they have to take birth again and again and meet with good and evil in various species of life. So this is their future. And it's a very scary future, actually, if you think about it. It's a very scary future to think that we may lose this human form of life and go into animalistic life, some kind of lower form. Because animal life is so miserable. But a lot of people, they have fantasies like, oh, in my next life I want to be an eagle and I want to fly, or I want to be a dog and I want to laze around and sleep all day, and they think it's very pleasurable. But you look at animals and they're constantly in anxiety. Dogs are always, somebody walks by the house and they're barking, thinking that it's some intruder or something like that. Birds, you look at birds and they're walking around and you can't even get within 5 feet of them, and they fly away, they run away thinking you're going to kill them. So animals are always completely in anxiety. It's a complete illusion to think that animal life is somehow happy, because they have no intelligence. They don't understand that, okay, somebody walking up doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to try to kill me. So people are very unfortunate because of their present condition of life, and also their future. Their future is very bleak, as we'll see also in the end of the 5th canto, when it's describing the different hellish planets and how to get there. Well, it also describes how to get there, yeah, but also how to avoid getting there, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not a vacation destination. So the members of the Krishna consciousness movement, they have a different reality. Like this verse is saying, saintly people who are friends to all living entities have a peaceful consciousness. There's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, the last verse of the 5th chapter, Bhoktaram yugatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatamam shantim richati. That one who understands Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to be the beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme proprietor of all planets and demigods thereof, and the benefactor and well-wisher in the hearts of all living entities, he alone can attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. So because devotees have accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they understand this life in the context of something greater, they don't just see the suffering and the misery as all in all, or as this is just random circumstances. They understand, like there's that other verse, Tatenu kampam susamikshramanaha, that they understand that it's in relation to their past activities, and that it's Krishna's mercy, that without Krishna's mercy they'd be suffering so much more. And so many things. They understand that Krishna owns everything, so they don't take any ownership of anything, so devotees are not disturbed when they lose things, etc., etc. So many things. So devotees, they're very peaceful. As a result of this, they attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. And so they're untied, they're freed from the shackles of material existence because of this, because they're detached. And so because we are detached, because we're free from the shackles of material existence, it's our duty actually, and naturally, because the devotees that's described, they're friends to all living entities in this verse. Because we're friends to all living entities, we should feel some compassion for these people who are suffering so much, and we should try to save them. We should try to help them get free, and show them the reality that we've been shown by the grace of our spiritual master. And so in this way we become gurus. We become gurus for these people. We become Vartma Pradarshaka gurus, Shiksha gurus, or even Diksha gurus. Vartma Pradarshaka guru means one who shows the path of Krishna consciousness. Then Shiksha guru means one who gives instruction. And Prabhupada said that he said that, this is very early on in the movement, he said, I would like for all my disciples to become gurus. And similarly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, he said, become a guru and deliver the land. I'm forgetting the verse. What is it? Yeah. So yes, we should all become gurus and try to deliver the people of this land, because they're suffering so much, so much. Every day they're suffering, but they think it's happiness. Just like a hog eating stool. I'm thinking worm and stool. Hog eating stool. The hog is enjoying eating stool very much, but somebody from a third person perspective, they see, this is such a miserable condition of life, you're taking pleasure in eating stool. So similarly, the devotees of the Lord, they see people indulging in material sense gratification, thinking that this is the all in all, and they see it like a hog eating stool. And they feel very, very sorry for these people who are in this condition of life. So we try to save them. And we save them by, like Prabhupada is saying in this purport, the preachers of Krishna consciousness go from door to door to inform people how they can be relieved from the miserable conditions of material life. We have to go out to the people, distribute the holy name, chant the holy names to purify the atmosphere of Kali Yuga, and also distribute Srila Prabhupada's books to them. Prabhupada said, what will your 3-minute speech do? Give them a book, and they can read one page, and it could change their life. So to distribute books to people is the greatest service to mankind. People are always looking for ways to help society, whether it's, they want, like Maharaj says, save the whales or save the turtles, or feeding the hungry, or whatever it is. But all these things, actually, it's useless, completely useless, because it only pertains to this material body, it only pertains to this material world. It doesn't pertain to anything higher, anything eternal. It's all temporary. Whatever turtles you save, whatever whales you save, they're going to die anyway. Whatever hungry people you feed, they're going to die anyway. So best we give them spiritual knowledge. The business of the Krishna consciousness movement is we give them spiritual knowledge. We give them the path back to Godhead. We give them the seed of devotional service in the form of the holy name of the Lord. And we beseech them, please take to Krishna consciousness. Please chant the holy name, and make your life perfect. Get out of this material condition. Like there's that song from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jeev Jago, Gaura Chandra Bole. Wake up, Kotanija Dramaya Pishachirako. Wake up, sleeping souls. How long will you sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? So Lord Chaitanya, He's calling us in this way, and He's calling all of the living entities in this way. So as His representatives, we have to go out and we have to extend His mercy to the living entities. And Srila Prabhupada's books are so potent, so amazing, so rich with spiritual knowledge, with spiritual potency, that just by holding Srila Prabhupada's books, even if they just get the book in their hand for a minute, they can make their life perfect. They become purified. So we have to go out. We have to give them Srila Prabhupada's books. We have to extend Srila Prabhupada's mercy. We have to extend Lord Chaitanya's mercy, and like this become gurus. And it doesn't matter who we are, no matter whether we're Indian, whether we're Western, whether we're brahmacharis, grihastas, sannyasis, vanaprasthas, whatever it is. What is that verse? Grihe tako, vane tako. Balaram Prabhu, do you know the Grihe tako, vane tako? Yeah. So whether you live in the forest, whether you live in a home, wherever you live, we should go out. We should go out and deliver or try to deliver the fallen conditioned souls. And if we go out with determination and with resolve, that Lord Chaitanya's movement will be spread, that Lord Chaitanya's movement will dominate the entire world and kick out all kinds of kaitava dharma, all kinds of cheating religion, all kinds of sectarian religion, then Krishna will reciprocate with us. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will reciprocate with us, and we'll get the spiritual potency to cut through all of their illusions, to cut through all of their demoniac misconceptions about life, to cut through all of their stupid philosophies. And Lord Chaitanya's movement will dominate the entire world. This is what I was going to read. This is from Sajjana Toshini by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the magazine. He says, the religion preached by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is universal and not exclusive. The principle of Kirtan as the future church of the world invites all classes of men, without distinction of caste or clan, to the highest cultivation of the spirit. This church, it appears, will extend all over the world and take the place of all sectarian churches, which exclude outsiders from the precincts of the mosque, church, or temple. Lord Chaitanya did not advent himself to liberate only a few men of India. Rather, his main objective was to emancipate all living entities of all countries throughout the entire universe and preach the eternal religion. Lord Chaitanya says in the Chaitanya Bhagavatam, in every town and village, my name will be sung. There is no doubt that this unquestionable order will come to pass. Although there is still no pure society of Vaishnavas to be had, yet Lord Chaitanya's prophetic words will in a few days come true, I am sure. Why not? Nothing is absolutely pure in the beginning. From imperfection, purity will come about. Oh, for that day when the fortunate English, French, Russian, German, and American people will take up banners, mridungas, and kartals and raise kirtan through their streets and towns. When will that day come? So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has predicted, my name will be chanted throughout every town and village. All of the acharyas have confirmed, Lord Chaitanya's name will be chanted throughout every town and village. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has confirmed, Srila Prabhupada has actually done it, spread Lord Chaitanya's name through every town and village. But there's still some towns and villages who have yet to take to the chanting of Hare Krishna. So, as representatives of Srila Prabhupada, as representatives of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, of all the previous acharyas, we have to go armed with Srila Prabhupada's books, armed with the holy name, and kill all of these people and destroy these people's material lives. Because what is the result? What is the result of their material lives? What is the result of their material enjoyment? Just so much suffering. So much suffering for them, so much suffering for other people, so much suffering for... Nobody wins. Nobody wins. It's a lose-lose situation when these people indulge in material enjoyment. So we have to go and we have to help them. And we have to let Srila Prabhupada preach to them. We have to let the pure devotees, Srila Prabhupada and the acharyas who are mentioned and quoted in Srila Prabhupada's books, we have to let them preach to them. Just think, this Srimad Bhagavatam, not only is Srila Prabhupada present, not only is Krishna present, Shukadeva Goswami is present, all of the previous acharyas are present, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is present, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is present. Imagine if we were walking around every day, we could walk around with all these acharyas. Bhaktivinoda Thakur to our side, we could have Srila Prabhupada on the other side, we could have Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to the other side, we could have the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself on the other side. And imagine if we were walking around to people and saying, please talk to these people and hear about Krishna consciousness, hear about the goal of life. That's what we're doing when we're walking around with Srila Prabhupada's books. We're walking around with all of the acharyas and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna himself, and showing people, saying, hey, associate with these people, talk to them, hear from them, and understand the goal of life. So Srila Prabhupada's books are amazing. They're going to be the law books for the next 10,000 years, this golden age within Kali Yuga. This is it. This is the real thing. Srila Prabhupada's books are the real thing. So we have to go out and we have to give it to people. The books aren't going to distribute themselves. They could, but Srila Prabhupada, Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they're leaving it to us. Krishna wants to give us the credit for spreading the Krishna consciousness movement. He's very merciful. He could do it himself. Srila Prabhupada was a pure devotee. He could have done it himself. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a pure devotee. He could have done it himself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He was here. He could have done it himself. But he left it for us. He left the glory for us. So the glory of spreading the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world, of dominating the entire world with the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, with the holy name of the Lord, the glory is for us. And the mercy is there. So we just have to take it and run with it. And go out and distribute Srila Prabhupada's books, distribute the holy name, and make all these unfortunate rascals the most fortunate. So I guess I'll stop there, and then we can have questions and comments.
Hare Krishna, I just want to let you know there is a one question pending in the Zoom.
Okay, thanks, Prabhu. We can have Dimitri.
I was listening to the class of Tamal Krishna Goswami, and he was saying how we have different temples in here, and they're like embassies of the spiritual world, and we're the ambassadors going out to preach to people. And Srila Prabhupada's books are very exact and precise, and they have exactly what people are looking for. And you can tell by engaging, by speaking with people on book distribution, sometimes what it takes is just to show them a little verse, like a small passage from Bhagavad Gita, and they take these books just on the basis of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Prabhupada's books, they don't... everything is there in Prabhupada's books. Whether you're looking for... whatever it is, whatever you're looking for, you can find it in Prabhupada's books. If you're looking for truth, you can find it in Prabhupada's books. If you're looking for peace of mind, you can find it in Prabhupada's books. If you're looking for, solid philosophy, you can find it in Prabhupada's books. Everything is there. So we have no need to go out and read. I mean, it's good, to read some other books. But really, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Instruction, all of Prabhupada's books, Nectar of Devotion, etc., etc. These books are completely all in all. Just with these books alone, we can go back to Godhead. So, yes, Srila Prabhupada's books are, Tyler.
Thank you for a wonderful class, Amogha Lila. If you run a mile, you run 4 times around the track, and that last lap you did was sprinting. That was beautiful. That analogy of, I guess, was more of a metaphor or just an illustrative idea of us walking with all those acharyas in the form of the Bhagavatam. Very powerful. It's really cool that they're all right there. Everything's there. They always say everything's in the Bhagavatam, and you really brought to light all the great minds and teachers that went into the Bhagavatam. Remember reading all of Prabhupada's small books and always waiting to qualify for the Bhagavatam. And anytime I'd be in a small book and they'd quote the Bhagavatam, I'd get oh wow, Bhagavatam. Here we go, one day. And now here I am studying every day in class with you guys, so I really feel fortunate. Thank you so much. The question I had was, you talked about Prabhupada's books. You said if a materialist walks by and they just hold Prabhupada's book, they can be purified, or they get purification from that?
They do.
Can you explain more about how that happens?
Well, that's something that Prabhupada said, that even if they just hold the book in their hand, they can get purified. Because the books are non-different from Krishna. The books are non-different from the Supreme Personality. They're completely spiritual. So even if they see a devotee walking by holding a Srimad Bhagavatam, they get purification. Even if we're walking outside wearing tilak, even if they see tilak, they get purification, because they're coming in contact with Krishna, in some indirect way. So yeah, by holding a book, it means that first of all somebody's offered it to them, and second of all they've accepted it. They said, okay, well let me see what this is about. So they get purification, no doubt. Yeah.
From the verse, it's by our great fortune that we've earned that we get to associate with sadhus.
Yeah.
So we've earned that opportunity by past deeds. Because I know that we can miss that opportunity if we're too materialistic, but why do we get the opportunity to associate with sadhus?
How do we get the opportunity?
Yeah, how and why?
Well, yes, your previous activities, yes, have something to do with it, but also the main point is it's out of their causeless mercy. The point that's being emphasized in this verse is it's out of the sadhu's causeless mercy that he goes out and gives association, because he feels compassionate for the fallen conditioned souls suffering in the material world. So it's by his mercy that he goes out and he gives association.
Which is like a gift.
Yeah.
So so without even earning it, I mean, I guess that's why Chaitanya came, right? He was freely giving this to anyone.
Yeah.
Nityananda was giving it to people that, rascals, So
Yeah.
So these are great gifts, and we're in a position where we can offer these gifts actually. So
Yeah.
it's very, very special. Thank you for that last part of your talk today. It was on fire, man. That was really great.
Okay, Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Amogha Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
Thank you very much, Prabhu. My question is, don't saintly persons ever get angry?
Yes. But it's not like material anger. Material anger means becoming angry over some condition pertaining to this material world. Like I was just reading, what was it? Anyway, it's kind of a mundane example, but I was just reading that there's this gang or something like, there's this gang. There's these two rival gangs in Los Angeles, and the origin of their rivalry was that there was a girl, and like originally they were like allies or something like that, and then there was some girl who, maybe somebody in one gang was like, anyway, two people in the gang started fighting over a girl, and then one person killed or beat up the other guy, and then they got revenge, and then this and that, and then so now they just hate each other. 30 years later, they just hate each other because of some fight over a girl that happened, whatever. So, but yeah, so people, material anger means becoming angry over material conditions, becoming angry because somebody stole my girlfriend, or becoming angry because, somebody stole my car, or becoming angry because, you're not gratifying my senses in some way. But spiritual anger, like Prabhupada says, well, actually, I guess I can't think of a specific quote from Srila Prabhupada, but spiritual anger, anger can be used in the service of Krishna. Like, for example, Kshatriyas, who are, righteous and Krishna conscious, they use their anger to fight for Krishna. And then also the guru. The guru also may experience some transcendental, you could say, anger. But he uses it to instruct his disciples, to give mercy to his disciples. And show them very clearly, okay, this is the right thing. You did the wrong thing. This is the right thing. So sadhus, they have to use this chopping method sometimes, and it may externally appear as anger. And then also using anger in defense of the Vaishnavas if somebody's harming the devotees or being offensive toward Krishna. Also, we may become angry to defend the Vaishnavas, to defend Krishna, and also for this person's benefit, to make them stop committing offenses. So like this, anger in devotional service is used for Krishna, and it brings us closer to Krishna. But anger, which is material, which is outside of Krishna consciousness, it brings us further away from Krishna. Sorry, that was kind of long-winded.
Oh no, I liked it very much, Prabhu, as usual. Outstanding answer to my question. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Does Krishna ever get angry with his devotees?
It may appear so. Like with the cowherd boys, they wrestle, and of course that's playful wrestling, but also, Krishna with the demons, he may appear angry, but it's all pastimes, Oh, but you were saying with his devotees. Dravida Prabhu, can you think of an example of that?
Well, I don't know about anger, but I mean, he was kind of upset with Arjuna.
Yeah.
How have these impurities come upon you? Get up. Don't be a eunuch. That was one reaction that he had. But genuine devotees, he doesn't really get seriously angry. He gets angry the Hiranyakashipus of this world.
Yeah.
So all the so-called punishments, they come from his inferior energy, which has nothing to do with Krishna, like in the sense of, like,
Punishments meaning?
like, you know, like karmic reactions, and
Yeah, karma's doled out by material nature.
yeah.
There's a if you're really a serious devotee, then Krishna takes over the meting out of your karma,
Yeah.
and so it's not the same for devotees. That, and they see, and that's why they see it different. Oh, I see. Krishna's he's guiding me. It's like a parent who is guiding the child, and it seems to do something cruel, but actually it's in the for their benefit.
Yeah. Krishna's anger is generally reserved for the demons.
Do you know more about how does that meeting out? Do you know any more about that? How does,
You want the schedule for your meeting out of bad karma?
but like so the guru's taking care of it, and then Krishna kind of steps in, like let me handle the rest of that. Or?
Well,
The microphone?
when you take initiation, then the guru takes on the karma. It's eradicated. But by the same token, those karmic vasanas, those tendencies, they can be used by Krishna to help us advance. And teach us to stay on the straight and narrow. So that's how that gets meted out. And the good karma also. And that's why that verse is there. You mentioned tattenu kampam susamikshramano. If something, the whole idea is when you analyze this verse, no matter what happens to you, you stay positive toward Krishna. Your attitude is positive. If something bad happens, it says, oh, thank you, Krishna, for minimizing it. I learned that when I was, we used to have a whole program in Brooklyn. Because there's so many devotees, you'd have your turn to go into the kitchen and cut up, And so we learned that, okay, if you cut your finger, this is Krishna teaching you. You're supposed to lose your hand or break your arm, but you just got a little bruise, so that's how you see it. That you thank Krishna for that. I just wanted to mention, one verse came to mind. It's very, because you mentioned how, I think you mentioned tattenu kampam, but there's also that verse about the guru chastising this disciple. Tato duksangam utsraja satsu sajjeta buddhiman santa evasya chindandi monovyasanga muktibi. And this happened with Prabhupada and his disciples all the time. Prabhupada would get seemingly, get furious and chastise his disciple for doing some nonsense. But you could see that, it was good for them. And that's what this verse is about, is that one should give up bad association and associate with the saints, the sadhus, because by their words, they act like knives, to cut out the powerful attachments in the mind. And so we should appreciate that. And actually, you can find that in Prabhupada's books. If you're really reading Prabhupada's books, as a sadhaka, to get information and to guidance, then you'll find some of it is a little hard to take. People take that all the time, but that means that it's doing its job.
Yeah. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.